With Shohei Ohtani signing the largest contract in North American sports history this past weekend, some people were quick to point out that it's a massive overpay and will be one of the worst contracts in sports history one day. Naturally, I had a few reactions to this. One, the Dodgers will probably make at least $1 billion in revenue by the time his contract ends, just because of him being on the team. He's arguably the most marketable athlete in the entire world besides LeBron James and Lionel Messi. The amount of tickets and merchandise they'll sell solely because of him will be outrageous. The Dodgers will be just fine financially. Two, I figured now would be the perfect time to discuss the actual worst contracts of all time. There have been so many horrible contracts in the history of the sport, but especially in the last 15 years. In today's video, I'm going to present to you the top 10 worst contracts in MLB history. If I didn't list one from your favorite team, trust me, I'm sure I've seen the contract and I know it's not great. There's just been too many bad contracts that have been signed, and I'm only going to list the 10 ones that stood out the most to me. At number 10, I have Eric Hosmer's 8-year, $144 million contract with the Padres in the 2017-2018 offseason. After having a good tenure with the Royals where he won a World Series, made an All-Star team, and won 4 Gold Glove awards, Hosmer hit free agency for the first time in his career after 2017. This was perfect timing for him because he just had by far the best season of his career. He played all 162 games while posting an OPS of 882, hitting 25 home runs and 31 doubles, and winning a Gold Glove award. He posted 4.3 BWAR this season and was an incredible leader for the Royals. Heading into the offseason, the Padres were looking to spend money and be more competitive, and they needed a leader to help the team on the field and mentor the young guys off the field. This led them right to Eric Hosmer, and they signed him to an 8-year, $144 million deal. While Hosmer was known as a pretty good first baseman, the consensus around baseball minds at the time was that this deal was too rich and too long. As it turns out, this contract did end up aging horribly. In 4.5 seasons with the Padres, Hosmer hit 69 home runs and 110 doubles while posting an OPS of 737 in 596 games. At the 2022 trade deadline, they initially tried to dump him in a trade for Juan Soto to the Nationals before he vetoed the trade. Later that day, they traded Hosmer to the Red Sox while eating the remaining $44 million on his salary. In total, the Padres will have paid $144 million to Eric Hosmer by the end of 2025 for 3.7 BWARs worth of production. This was just terrible management from the Padres all around. With the team going into debt now to solve payroll issues, this just makes the Hosmer signing all that more worse. At number 9, I have Josh Hamilton's 5-year, $125 million contract with the Angels in the 2012-2013 offseason. Many of you might be surprised to see this contract this low on this list, but I'll explain it shortly. Heading to the offseason, Josh Hamilton was by a landslide the best position player on the market. He was coming off a 3-season stretch where he won an MVP, made 3 All-Star teams, made it to 2 World Series, and had an OPS of 952 while hitting 100 home runs and 102 doubles. He posted 16.5 BWAR in this span too, which is phenomenal considering he missed 84 games in this duration. After signing Albert Pujols and CJ Wilson the year prior, the Angels decided to go all in for a World Series by signing Hamilton to a 5-year, $125 million deal. His $25 million average annual value tied Ryan Howard for second in the league at the time, trailing only Alex Rodriguez of the Yankees. In his first season with the Angels, he greatly underperformed. In 151 games, he posted a 739 OPS while hitting 21 home runs and 32 doubles. For the season, he accumulated a measly 1.3 BWAR and was a big part of why the Angels failed to make the playoffs at all. In 2014, the struggles continued for Hamilton. Injuries to his thumb and shoulder limited him to only 89 games on the season, where he posted a 745 OPS and only hit 10 home runs. The Angels finished with the best record in baseball but got swept in the ALDS by the Kansas City Royals. In the series, Hamilton went 0 for 13 as his struggles were magnified on the world's biggest stage. In February of 2015, he underwent shoulder surgery to repair his separated shoulder. While recovering, Hamilton admitted that he started using drugs again, and as a result of his own admission, the Angels could not suspend him. 2 months later, the Angels shipped him to the Rangers for literally nothing, while paying $73 million of his remaining $80 million owed on his contract. He played 50 games for the Rangers before being released and never playing baseball again. In total, the Angels paid $118 million for 2.7 BWAR worth of production and some awful organizational drama. Don't worry guys, the Angels will be on this list again in a few minutes. At number 8, I have Pablo Sandoval's 5-year, $90 million contract with the Red Sox in the 2014-2015 offseason. After winning the World Series in 2013, the Red Sox sucked in 2014. The World Series hangover was real, as the team went 71-91 and finished last place in the AL East. In efforts to be more competitive again in 2015, the team went out and signed Pablo Sandoval to a 5-year, $90 million contract. Sandoval was always a solid player throughout his time in the majors with the Giants, but never was a superstar at any point in his career. He had an OPS of 739 in the 2014 regular season, while posting a near 1,000 OPS in the postseason. The risk was obvious at the time, and his tenure in Boston is not remembered as a great one. In 126 games in his first year with the Red Sox, he posted an OPS of 658 with only 10 home runs and 47 RBIs, as the Red Sox went on to finish last place in the AL East again. All of these numbers were career lows, as the contract looked like a disaster right out of the gate. Sandoval's 2016 season consisted of multiple injuries to his right shoulder, limiting limiting him to 6 at-bats all season long. To start the 2017 season, Sandoval wasn't an everyday starter, as he had only played in 32 games by the middle of June. In 99 at-bats, he posted a horrible OPS of 622 while only hitting 4 home runs. He was put on the disabled list on June 20th and then released by the Red Sox a month later. Overall, Sandoval only played in 161 total games during this contract, while accumulating negative .6 BWAR. While he did have a nice tenure with the Giants over the following season, the Red Sox were still on the hook for the entire contract. At number 7, I have Chris Bryant's 7-year, $182 million contract with the Rockies in the 2021-2022 offseason. After having an awesome 7-season tenure with the Cubs, where he made 4 All-Star teams, won an MVP and Rookie of the Year award, Bryant spent the second half of the 2021 season with the Giants as they pushed towards a World Series. After losing to the Dodgers in the NLDS, Bryant became a free agent for the first time in his career. His career numbers up until this point included an OPS of 880 and 167 home runs in 7 seasons. He was very healthy and reliable heading into free agency, so it seemed like he was going to be in for a sizable payday. Coming out of nowhere, the Colorado Rockies swooped in and signed Bryant to a monster 7-year, $182 million contract shortly after the lockout ended. This was seen as a shock in the industry, as the Rockies were nowhere near contention and Bryant didn't seem to move the needle for them. In his first year in Colorado, he was limited to only 42 games of play as he battled plantar fasciitis and a bone bruise in his right foot. He was good in the short amount of games, posting an OPS of 851. However, the Rockies were terrible, as they finished last place in the NL West with a record of 68 and 94. In 2023, Bryant was limited to only 80 games this time, as he battled multiple injuries including a left heel bruise, fractured left index finger, and plantar fasciitis again. This time, he was horrible even when he played, posting an OPS of 680 while only hitting 10 home runs in the most hitter-friendly ballpark in the league. His defense was absolutely awful as well, posting a negative 6 outs above average. In his 2 seasons so far in Colorado, he's posted negative .6 BWAR. Is there a chance he turns it around in the remaining 5 years of his contract? Of course there is. But it's not like the team is even remotely competitive if Bryant miraculously returns to his old MVP form. This contract never made sense to me for the Rockies, and I don't think it ever will. At number 6, I have Homer Bailey's 6-year, $105 million contract with the Reds in the 2013-2014 offseason. In the early 2010s, the Reds were one of the best teams in the National League. From 2010 to 2013, they made the playoffs 3 times and won the NL Central twice, averaging 89 wins per season. One of the main reasons for their success was the pitching of Homer Bailey. In those 4 seasons, Bailey started 106 games, posting an ERA of 3.9 and WHIP of 1.23. For having a home ballpark that is very hitter-friendly, these numbers were fantastic. After the 2013 season, Bailey became a free agent for the first time in his career. In efforts to remain competitive in 2014 and onwards, the Reds re-signed Bailey to a 6-year, $105 million contract. At this time, the contract made total sense. The Reds still had their offensive core of Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, and Brandon Phillips under contract, and needed to have good pitching in order to compete. In year 1 of the deal, Bailey was pretty good. He started 23 games while posting an ERA of 3.71 and WHIP of 1.23. After dealing with arm fatigue in the spring of 2015, Bailey didn't make his first start of the year until May 1st. After 2 starts, he was diagnosed with a torn UCL and underwent Tommy John surgery shortly after. Over the next 3 seasons, he only started 44 games, posting an MLB worst 6.29 ERA and 1.68 WHIP. After the 2018 season, he was traded to the Dodgers and ended up bouncing around the league for the last 2 seasons of his career. The Dodgers took on the remaining $23 million of his contract, so in total, the Reds spent $82 million for 5 seasons of the worst pitcher in all of baseball, as he accumulated negative 1.5 BWAR in this span. This one really killed the Reds' chances of winning in the middle to late 2010s. At number 5, I have Anthony Rendon's 7-year, $245 million contract with the Angels in the 2019-2020 offseason. Heading into the offseason, Rendon was coming off the best season of his career. He made the All-Star team, finished 3rd in MVP voting, and won a World Series while posting an OPS of 1.01. Not to mention, he hit 34 home runs and 44 doubles in the season. It seemed like Rendon was just entering the prime of his career, and he was about to get paid. With the Angels already having the 2 best offensive players in the league in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, it was clear that they needed more pitching in order to compete for a World Series. This didn't stop Artie Moreno from giving Anthony Rendon a monster 7-year, $245 million contract. While this deal looked fair for Rendon at the time, people were just baffled why the Angels wanted to spend money on another bat when their pitching was their biggest weakness. In the COVID-shortened season, Rendon was very good. In 52 games, he posted an OPS of 915 while hitting 9 home runs and 11 doubles. He finished 10th in AL MVP voting this season. After the season, the contract slowly turned into a disaster for the Angels. Rendon made 4 separate trips to the injured list in 2021, resulting in him only playing 58 games where he posted a lowly 712 OPS. In 2022, Rendon was healthy again, but still struggled. Through the first 44 games of the season, Rendon played in 40 of those games while posting an OPS of 757. In these games, the Angels had a record of 27-17, leaving them only a game behind the first place Astros. Right before the Angels' 45th game of the season, Rendon was placed on the injured list with a hurt wrist. This specific game was the start of a franchise record 14-game losing streak for the Angels, which caused manager Joe Maddon to be fired as a result. Rendon came back for 4 games in early June before requiring season-ending wrist surgery on June 17th. Despite this injury, this didn't stop Rendon from being front and center in a bench-clearing brawl with the Seattle Mariners, where he punched Jesse Winker in the face with his non injured hand. He was suspended for 5 games and it was a really bad look for both him and the team. Heading into 2023, the same thing was said about the Angels as it was every year. If they can have a healthy Rendon, Trout, and Ohtani for a full season, surely they could contend. However, this didn't end up being the case. On opening day, the Angels lost to the A's in Oakland by a score of 2-1. After the game, Rendon was involved in a physical confrontation with an A's fan in which he grabbed a man's shirt and attempted to punch him. While he was suspended for 4 games after this, he played some good baseball up until mid-May, where he had an OPS of 801 on May 12th. 2 days later, he was put on the injured list again, this time with a groin injury. For the next few weeks, Rendon had some bizarre interactions with the media. He refused to answer any questions with how he was feeling, and the Angels never provided a timeline for his return. He came back on June 4th and had 4 hits in 13 games from them until July 4th, when he hit the injured list yet again with another wrist injury. The insane responses from Rendon to the media really started ramping up now. At one point, a reporter asked him how he was feeling, and he told them, "I'm not here today." Another time, he told reporters that he's on the dead list and didn't have to do interviews as a result of that. Finally, when asked for an injury update in mid-September, Rendon told a reporter, "No habla inglés today." By now, you should have a good idea just how big of a clown this guy is. Not only can he not stay healthy on the field, but he's been a complete headache for the Angels off the field, as he has been straight up disrespectful to members of the media. In his first 4 seasons with the Angels, he's made $125 million while posting only 3.1 BWAR. This contract absolutely sucks. At number 4, I have Miguel Cabrera's 8-year, $248 million extension with the Tigers during the 2014 season. At the time of signing this extension, Miguel Cabrera was the undisputed best hitter on the planet. He was coming off a 5-year stretch where he finished top 5 in AL MVP voting in each season, won MVP in both 2012 and 2013, won the AL Triple Crown in 2012, made 5 All-Star teams, and only missed a total of 30 games in this span. At the time of Cabrera signing this contract, it was the richest contract in MLB history. While he was clearly the best hitter in baseball at the time of the deal, the contract wouldn't start until the 2016 season when Cabrera would be 33 years old. To say the least, there were definitely concerns that Miggy's production would be slowing down around the time the deal would start. In his first year of the extension, Cabrera was awesome. In 158 games, he posted an OPS of 956 while hitting 38 home runs and 31 doubles, accumulating 5.1 BWAR on the season. The production the Tigers received from him this year was absolutely fantastic. However, everything started going downhill the following season. He dealt with back injuries and groin injuries throughout the season, and this wasn't all surprising considering he just turned 34 years old and was clearly slowing down. From 2017 to 2023, Miggy missed a span of 331 games where he posted an OPS of 710 and only hit 65 home runs. In the entire span of the extension, Cabrera only posted 2.5 BWAR while essentially stealing $248 million from the Tigers. While he was still a fan favorite and recorded his 3,000th career hit and 500th career home run during this contract, the Tigers 100% regret giving him this much money. At number 3, I have Chris Sale's 5-year, $145 million extension with the Red Sox in the 2018-2019 offseason. While some of the contracts I previously listed look worse than this one, I'll get into a few reasons shortly why I have this as the 3rd worst contract in MLB history. From 2012 to 2018, Chris Sale was easily a top 3 pitcher in baseball. In this 7-year stretch, he finished top 6 in Cy Young voting every season, while posting an ERA of 2.91 and WHIP of 1.02 and 207 starts. He was the definition of consistency. You knew what you were going to get from Chris Sale year in and year out. At least, this was true up until the extension kicked in. In 2019, the year before his extension kicked in, Sale had a down year. In 25 starts, he posted a 4.4 ERA and 3.39 FIP, both of which were career highs. There were definitely concerns out there at the time that the extension might have been a bit premature. Nevertheless, Sale was only 31 years old at the start of the 2020 season and should have a lot left in the tank. With the Red Sox handing out contracts to JD Martinez, Xander Bogaerts, David Price, and Chris Sale in previous offseasons, the team was looking right up against the luxury tax threshold. Not to mention, their face of their franchise, Mookie Betts, was about to hit free agency at the end of the season, and he seemed intent on testing free agency. In efforts to trim payroll for the 2020 season and to ensure they wouldn't lose Betts for nothing, they traded him and David Price to the Dodgers in exchange for players that never really ended up doing anything for the team. If they hadn't extended Chris Sale a year prior, I think there was a good chance they could have extended Mookie Betts instead of trading him basically for peanuts. Now that they had just traded Betts away, they really needed Sale to pitch like an ace in order to justify his extension. In May of 2020, year 1 of Chris Sale's extension, it was announced that he would undergo Tommy John surgery for the first time in his career. This of course took him out for the entire 2020 season and most of the 2021 season. He came back in August of 2021, where he started 9 games and posted an ERA of 3.21 in limited innings. This was obviously a great sign for the Red Sox. However, in February of 2022, he suffered a right rib stress fracture while throwing batting practice to a college baseball team. This limited him to only 2 starts in the 2022 season. 2023 was Sale's healthiest year of the extension, but it wasn't a productive one. In 20 starts, he posted a 4.3 ERA and 1.13 WHIP. In the first 4 years of this extension, the Red Sox not only were forced to trade Mookie Betts away as a result of his extension, but they've also only gotten 2.6 BWAR worth of production from him in this span. Just terrible asset management all around. At number 2, I have Chris Davis's 7-year, $161 million contract with the Orioles in the 2015-2016 offseason. From 2013 to 2015, Chris Davis was one of baseball's best hitters. In these 3 years, he hit 126 home runs while posting an OPS of 891. After the 2015 season, the Orioles made the decision to keep him an Oriole for a long time, as they gave him a 7-year, $161 million contract. In In 2016, he was fairly productive. He posted an OPS of 792 while hitting 38 home runs in 157 games and accumulating 3.1 BWAR. While these numbers might not have been exactly what the Orioles wanted, he was still solid. After this season, Davis flat out collapsed. From 2017 to 2020, he was by a landslide the worst hitter in all of baseball. In 377 games, he posted an OPS of 615 while only hitting 54 home runs. In 2018, he somehow accumulated negative 3.3 BWAR, which I didn't even know was possible until looking that up right now. In 2019, he set an MLB record by going 54 consecutive at-bats without a hit. In 2020, he played in 16 games while posting an OPS of 337. Before the 2021 season began, he underwent surgery on his left hip and retired in May of that season. In the duration of the contract, he posted a total of negative 2.8 BWAR. I've never seen a player in MLB history go from being the best hitter in baseball to the worst hitter in baseball in the span of a few years. It's pretty hard to believe that his play dropped off so much without any significant injuries. At number 1, I have Stephen Strasburg's 7-year, $245 million contract with the Nationals in the 2019-2020 offseason. After an awesome 8-year stretch from 2012 to 2019 where Strasburg made 3 All-Star teams, finished top 10 in Cy Young voting 3 times, won a World Series and World Series MVP, the Nationals decided to keep Stephen Strasburg over Anthony Rendon as they signed him to a 7-year, $245 million contract. In that 8-year span, Strasburg made 222 starts and was pretty healthy throughout his tenure with the Nationals. He posted an ERA of 3.21 and whip of 1.09 in those 8 seasons and was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. In the first year of his contract in 2020, Strasburg left his second start after only facing 3 batters and hit the injured list the next day with a nerve issue in his pitching hand. He would miss the remainder of the season. In 2021, he made 2 starts for the Nats before hitting the injured list again, this time with shoulder inflammation. He was activated for 3 starts in mid-May before he hit the injured list yet again on June 3rd with a neck strain. He underwent surgery to the nerves in his neck and missed the remainder of the season again after only starting 5 games. He returned to play on June 9th, 2022 where he made 1 start before hitting the injured list yet again, this time a week later due to a rib injury. He missed the rest of the season yet again, this time after only pitching in 1 game. In August of 2023, Strasburg announced his retirement and would never pitch in baseball again. While he won't pitch in the final 3 years of his deal, the Nationals are still on the hook for the entire money he's owed, according to several sources. In total, by the end of the 2026 season, the Nationals will have paid Stephen Strasburg $245 million for 8 total starts. This string of injuries put to halt what could have been a Hall of Fame career for Strasburg. That's gonna do it for the video today. Thank you guys so much for 500 subscribers. I truly can't thank you all enough for the support on my recent videos. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content every Saturday at 11 AM Eastern. Be sure to leave a comment and give me your thoughts on my list, and I hope to see you in the next video.